Even if you think you don't have a green thumb, these seeds are going to work for you. If you are new to growing from seed, you don't have enough space for the equipment that you need to grow indoors, or you just aren't interested in growing indoors from seed, then today I am going to give you the 8 easiest vegetables to grow, and they don't require any time indoors. They just have to go straight into the garden. And so I wanted to take you through that today. So one of the best things about growing from seed is that you have the option of any type of variety that exists out there. If you're buying seedlings from a nursery, you only get the variety that they have on sale for you, and that might just be something boring and not very fun to try out. But when you grow from seed, the varieties become so much more expansive. For example, when you go to a greenhouse, you probably only have an option for a green zucchini, but when you buy from seed, you can grow yellow zucchinis, green zucchinis, and even ball-shaped ones. So this is why choosing to go from seed instead of from seedling is way more fun as a gardener, especially if you like to experiment with new varieties. What is up? My name is Bree from Urban Gardening Canada, and I garden in Ottawa Zone 5. Not every seed needs to be started inside. Not everybody needs special equipment, so I want to make sure that you still have access to grow from seed. If you're newer to gardening, you might not understand why some seeds aren't simple to grow, so I wanted to first take you through what makes seed starting more complicated. And that's because different seeds need different environments in order to germinate or grow. For example, pansies need darkness to grow, strawberries need a cold period in order to germinate, and some seeds, like the Kentucky coffee tree, actually need to be pooped out by an animal in order to grow. But there are ways around it that gardeners can simulate this in order to be able to germinate seeds. But not everybody wants to do that. Not everybody wants the knowledge or has the time to do it. And so that's why I wanted to take you through these 8 seeds that you can grow by simply just planting them outside. So let's start with the first one. Okay, so the first one is lettuce. And this one is super simple to grow because it does have one special thing, is that it likes light to germinate, but that just means it's even easier to grow. So all you have to do is get your lettuce seeds of whatever variety you want, sprinkle them into the soil, and then they're gonna turn into lettuce. And if you wanted to learn more about growing lettuce from seed, I do have a video on that, so I will link it below for you so you can check that out. But this one is super simple to grow and it matures really quickly, so then you can be growing and eating your own salad in a matter of weeks. So this is a definite one that you should add to your list. The second one is kale. Kale is a really simple one to grow and it also matures really quickly. So you just have to take the seed, plant it in some soil. Whether it's indoors or outdoors, it makes no difference because they're extremely cold hardy. So it's almost impossible to plant it too soon. If the soil is soft enough to work with, then you can plant your kale seeds and it's totally fine. And the best thing about kale is it lasts all the way through into the fall and actually tastes better if it gets hit by a frost. And so once you plant your first kale seeds, you're gonna have food for the entire growing season, which makes it a perfect plant to be growing. The third one is zucchini, and what I love about zucchini is that the seeds are quite large. So if you have a hard time with small seeds, this is a really easy one to grow because it's easy to handle. It's great to grow with kids or an aging parent, and it grows really quickly and has big leaves that come out of it. So it's just a fun one to look at when it is growing. And although this one is a good one to be starting inside 4 weeks before your last frost, you can totally plant this one outside as long as you have a variety that matures within 60 days, which is a lot of them. And so you can actually just direct sow this outside in your garden. Just be aware that the plants get really large and take up a lot of space. And so the only thing you want to be mindful of is making sure that you give your zucchini a lot of space to grow. But otherwise, this one is very, very simple to plant from seed. Okay, next up is bush beans. This is a great option if you like any type of string beans. Because they don't need to climb, all you have to do is plant the seed and it will grow and it will produce a ton of beans for you. This is another one that doesn't require being started inside. I direct sow mine outside and never start mine indoors. and you can sow new seeds every 3 to 4 weeks to have an endless harvest, but you'll also be drowning in beans too because they are very heavy producers. But this one is so simple, and again, this one has a large seed, so if you have a hard time with small seeds, you'll easily be able to use this one. And if you have kids or elderly parents, then this is a really easy one to handle as well, and it grows really quickly and matures very fast too. So I have built this really amazing interactive square foot garden planner that you can get for free. I'll put the link for it below, and in this tool you're able to pick out the different vegetables that you want to grow in your garden and plan on where you want to put them. And on the right hand side it builds you a shopping list of how many seeds you need to buy or how many seedlings you need to buy. And it's a really great tool if you're looking to start planting your garden in the winter time, which is the perfect time to be doing that. So again, if you wanted to grab it, it's free, and I'll put it in the link below. All right, so my last vegetable before I get into herbs is peas. This is another super simple one to grow. Doesn't need to be started inside, and the seed is quite large again too, so it's easy to handle. They like cool weather, so planting your peas in spring and near fall is the best time to be doing it. The only thing that makes these ones a little bit more difficult is that they need something to climb on, so just make sure that you plant them near a trellis or anything that they can cling on to in order to climb. But these are one of my most favorite things to grow in the garden because fresh garden peas taste so good, and there's quite a few different varieties out there that you can try as well. But don't ever buy a pea seedling, plant your own. They're super simple to grow and they sprout really quickly. All right, so the last three are actually herbs, and the first one is dill. This one is super simple to grow because all you have to do is throw the seeds in the garden. They can be planted on top of the soil and they'll still germinate. It's the way that they also get dropped from the wind when they've gone to seed in the fall, and they will readily reseed if you grow it and it goes to flower. So this one is really fun, and it also loves cool weather, so you can plant this one out early in spring, and that's when it's going to do the best. So again, you don't have to worry about if it's too cold out. As long as the soil is workable, it's the perfect time to be planting dill seeds. The next one is cilantro, and it's because it's exactly the same as dill. You just have to throw the seeds in the garden and they're going to germinate. They're also a cool loving plant, so the earlier in the spring that you're planting them, then they will germinate as soon as the weather warms up to a temperature that they like. So simple, you don't have to start it inside if you don't want to. You just throw the seeds out in the garden and they will take care of everything themselves. And the last one is basil. This is another really easy one to grow from seed, and you can grow it indoors if you wanted to. A lot of grocery stores sell them in a pot, but it's so much easier just to grow them from seed. So again, you just have to plant them in the soil, cover them up a little bit, keep them watered, and they will come out. And you don't need to start these ones indoors either. They love the warm temperatures, so if you sow them outside, they will germinate and grow for you all summer long. The most that they care about is making sure that there's good airflow around them, so you just want to make sure you don't crowd them too much in the garden and only plant one every couple of inches, so that way they have space to grow really wide and bushy without getting too tight together. There's tons of varieties out there, and so I highly recommend growing basil from seed. So there are 4 things about these seeds that I just mentioned that make them easy to grow. I don't know if you caught on when I was describing all of them, but the first is that none of them need to be started indoors. All of them can be started outdoors. Many of them benefit from starting outdoors, and so that means you don't need any fancy equipment in your house, and you don't need to take up any space or time or extra electricity. You can just throw them straight outside. The second is that many of them are actually quite cold tolerant, so you don't have to worry about if you planted them out too early or too soon, because many of them that I listed here are actually quite cold tolerant, so you don't have to worry too much about if it was too soon to plant outside. The next is that most of these plants have a short date of maturity, which means if you do plant them outdoors, you don't have to worry about if they will turn into food before your first frost comes. They should all be able to produce for you in time before your frost comes, even if you do plant them outside and don't start them inside. And the final thing is that many of these are actually shade tolerant as well, so you don't need to have an area that has tons and tons of sun. Many of these will grow in part shade too, which makes them that much better for so many of us gardeners. I'm curious to know if you think that I have missed anything in this list of easy to grow seeds and what you think is the easiest vegetable to grow from seed. If you wanted to leave it in the comments below, I'd love to hear from you. And that is everything. These are my 8 easiest vegetables to grow from seed. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up and to subscribe to the channel. And I'll put up the next video over here for you to check out. And I will see you in that video. Bye.